All right, JJ, 34 years old. You're the seasoned veteran. You've only been here a year, but you're kind of the veteran here. Why does this team look different than maybe last year's at this time?
I think we're more versatile, and I think there's real value in continuity. And I think bringing back mostly the same collection of guys, adding to that with the addition of Mike and Wilson and our young guys that we drafted, having continuity in the front office, in the coaching staff, our training staff. There's a hope, an expectation even, that sort of you leave or you start off where you left off. And we can just jump right into the season. There were some growing pains early in the year last year. We were 14-18 going into our Christmas Day game, and I would expect us to get off to a better start this year.
How much did everything surprise you last year? Because I don't think anybody thought it would happen so quickly a year ago, that maybe you'd take a jump, but it wouldn't be as dramatic as it occurred.
It surprised me. I didn't expect us to finish with 52 wins, and I didn't expect us to necessarily be in the second round and really have a chance. I mean, we're winning in the fourth quarter of 3 of the 4 games we lost against Boston. But even during the start of the year, like November, early December, like I kept going to Brett's office right over here and telling him, like, hey man, I think we're actually good. Like I know this sounds crazy because we have a losing record. I was like, but I think we actually are good. So it took a few weeks to get to that point for sure, but this time last year, I really truly had no expectations, whereas fast forward a year to present day, and my expectations are very high for this team.
So what are they? I mean, are they winning a championship at this?
That's the goal. Yeah, that's the goal. And I think everybody's chasing the Warriors, and I think Boston and Toronto are probably the favorites in the East.
Why do you say that?
Well, Boston beat us last year, and Toronto got a healthy Kawhi. So, if Kawhi is healthy, I think they'll be fantastic. And I also think that, I think people underrate the East a little bit. I think beyond just those 2 teams and us and Indy and Washington and Milwaukee and Miami, you're talking about a strong group of teams.
So now you've had a chance to play with Joel for a year. You probably had no idea what you were getting yourself into a year ago.
Yeah.
You'd only played 31 games a year before. Nobody really saw Joel like you have close up now.
Right.
His talent level compared to everybody else you played with or against, where does it stack up?
If Joe stays healthy, he'll go down as probably the best player that I've ever played with. And the only other guy that I would say could maybe take that would be Ben, and I really mean that. And look, Chris Paul is one of the greatest point guards of all time. He's one of my best friends. Joe and Ben are that good. I mean, they have the chance to be all-time talents. I'm catching them early in their career, but I'm excited to continue to play with them and see where their skills and their leadership develop, and they're going to be fantastic for a long time.
What are you trying to kind of put your stamp on them to try to get them to mature? Is it putting them even more time than they do? Like, how do you get them to that next level?
I think each of them are different in terms of what I'm trying to impart upon them, and that's honestly between Joe and I and Ben and I. It really is. But I think I look at them as individuals, and Ben specifically has things that I feel like I can help him with, and Joe specifically has things I can help him with. And that's the same way I look at all of my younger teammates. There's things I can help Markel with, there's things I can help Dario with, and I'd take sort of that approach with each guy.
Markel had a rough year last year. I've seen him plenty over the years. I know he can shoot the ball.
Yeah.
How did you try to keep him positive last year with everything that was going on? Nobody's ever seen anything like this before from a #1 overall.
Yeah, I certainly had never seen it either. I think we, as a group, as his teammates, our staff obviously as well, his whole support system, everybody tried to keep him positive. He had a great face about him, and he came in and came to work every day, but I know how frustrated he was. I don't want to say I'm expecting big things from him, but I am. I'm expecting him to contribute and really help this team. I think we saw flashes of that at the end of last year.
Your former coach at Duke is 71 years old now, Coach K. He's gone from recruiting guys like you, four-year guy, guys that were around Durham for a while, to now one and dones. How do you think he's been so adapted? Did you see this coming where he would be this adaptable and at 71 be able to get these dudes and, connect with them, I guess?
I've always said Coach K's greatest strength is his adaptability. There was a couple things that I think happened in the last 10 to 12 years. Number one, he got to coach the USA basketball team, so he got to be around pros. He got to be around pros as they worked, as they practiced, as they interacted. He took stuff from that and brought it back to Duke. And then the second thing is that he saw the landscape of college basketball change. And to compete, you had to essentially go after these one-and-done guys. I could go on a whole rant about this whole thing, but I'm not going to. But I would just say that, he has put, Duke in a position to win year in and year out because he has adapted.
How long does he go?
He tells me he's just going to keep coaching. He's just going to keep coaching, and he'll know.
He'll
just
waiting
know.
For your playing career to end.
I always tell people this. I have literally zero desire to coach except at Duke. And that would be the one job where if they ever asked me to come back and coach, I would do it in a second. That's
putting it out there right
that's
now.
That's the only time I would want to coach.
So you're joining the crew of Chris Collins, Jason Capel, Wojo, Tommy Amaker.
There's a lot of guys fighting for that job that are way more qualified than I am.
You think? They've coached a few more games.
Yeah. I don't want to be. I would say this too, because I've talked with all those guys about this. Nobody wants to be the next guy, right?
No.
You want to be the guy after the next guy.
All right, last question. Sixers Celtics. It was a rivalry back in the day. I'm aging myself here. When I was younger, growing up in Boston, I'm gonna say it. My favorite player was Andrew Toney.
Yeah.
He could really score. What is this rivalry you think gonna look like now? I mean, because both teams right now are loaded and young.
I'm going to bring it back to Duke, Maryland. Okay? And, our fans used to chant, "We're not rivals," whenever we would play Maryland and Duke. And so for this to be a rivalry, one side has to beat the other side. And so, and vice versa. So they beat us last year. So for it to be a rivalry, if they knock us out of the playoffs again, is it really a rivalry, or are we just sort of,
Good point.
just a stepping, a mat for them to step over? So I think for us, our focus, as much as we'd like to think about the playoffs and about the Celtics, we have to think about, the micro stuff that we can improve on a day-to-day basis. And really, I said this upstairs, but really try to win as many games as possible so that when we get in those situations, whether it's Toronto or Indy or Boston, hopefully we have home court.